Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 27 of the Clutch Dump. This is going to be another different kind of unique episode, but it's one that I am actually more excited for than the usual docket of things that we discuss. This episode is one that took a little bit of theorizing on how we were going to do it, and we decided that for part one of the Clutch Dump Top 10, we're going to do the top 10 greatest road cars of all time. Before we get into what that means and what that looks like, if you have not already, make sure to follow us on Instagram at the Clutch Dump. We're going to be dumping 2 posts for this episode. So if you haven't already, go check it out because it'll actually help give some visuals so you won't have to be looking up constantly what cars we're talking about. Secondly, if you're listening to us wherever you find podcasts, whether that's Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google, wherever, make sure to drop a subscription or a follow if you want to come back and listen to us again. Or if you're just a one-time kind of guest, make sure to drop a rating or a review. What you thought about the episode, what you liked, what you wanted to see more of or less of. But most importantly, check us out on YouTube. Guys, we are on YouTube. This is our second episode that's going to be live up on YouTube. Our first episode was episode 26 up on YouTube. So make sure to go check it out. Look for the Clutch Dump. Look for the yellow Porsche. You know the drill. Sitting opposite me, virtually, is the one and only Ben Walther. And Ben, unfortunately, is the one that restricted this specifically to cars that can be registered for road use. Because Ben didn't want me saying Alonso's Renault R25. So we're going to have to do a motorsport episode. Well, top 10 greatest race cars of all time.
I've already started my top 10 race cars list.
I'm sure you have.
I have. It's only about 3 cars deep at the moment.
It's going to be hard for all 10 of mine to not be Porsches, but, you know, it's whatever.
Right. But yeah, so this episode is actually pretty interesting because I believe that Nick and I's lists could not be more different.
And I don't think we've ever actually talked just in passing about what we think the top 10, even the greatest. I don't think the phrase or the question, the greatest car of all time, has ever come up in conversation.
Also, it's never been answered, I don't think.
Oh, without a doubt.
Greatest road car of all time, it's like, well, you know, because then you go down the lines of it's like, oh, well, it's obviously this, you know, supercar or whatever. Then it's like, okay, yeah, but it doesn't have enough storage and it doesn't ride well and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, well, you know, there is no Goldilocks car that exists. And it's, I'll be honest, my list is pretty much just my top 10 road legal.
Well, okay. So I was just going to say, for the people listening, this is not as objective journalists. We are considering all the components of a car. And I'll let Ben address kind of what his criteria was. But for me, it is what are the most visceral, enjoyable, put a smile on your faces, or you know you're in something special cars. So
okay, so our list might actually be a bit more similar than I thought. That was basically my criteria.
So like, well, I was going to use something as an example, but I would bet my life savings it's on your list, so I'm not.
I will give you
one guess.
Sorry, continue. But I'll give you 5 guesses. I guarantee you can't guess one thing on my list.
McLaren F1.
Nope.
All right. Well, all right. So this is a good example, though. McLaren F1. Everybody loves it. Everybody thinks it's one of the greatest cars of all time.
Right.
What's for me personally? Not top 10. I can think of more unique or more. Go ahead.
So we'll start with the McLaren F1. If you ask people, well, you know, what's your ultimate money?
Or the
no
Lamborghini Countach, like, right. Oh, it was on my poster when I was a kid in the 80s. Like,
well, the thing about a Countach is like, for starters, have you ever seen an F1?
Yes.
Okay, regular F1 also. Or a GTR or an LM or what?
Regular
one. Okay.
Yeah.
I've not seen an F1. I've seen a couple Countaches.
Countach.
No, I don't think we could say that. But I've seen a Countach or 2. But like, I think that kind of shows why the F1 is a bit more special. They only made 77 road cars or 75 road cars, 75 cars in total or whatever it is. Yeah. It's one of those things about it's like, oh, it's the most, you know, it's the most pure driving experience you could get on the road or whatever. If you listen to someone who owns an F1 or has driven an F1, I've actually heard they're not that great.
Well,
Like,
yeah, and
I've heard they're good, and I've heard that the shifter is great, and the motor is otherworldly, and I've heard that the seating position is fantastic, but, like, if you just drive a modern car, like, a modern car's better. Okay, so my list is basically,
I've
if
just
someone
actually
said,
made one last modification, but I'm done, I promise.
oh
Go
my
ahead.
gosh. So my list basically is, if someone said, Ben, you get 10 cars, you have a 10-car garage, you get 10 cars, they have to be road legal, what are you putting in it? That's my list.
I think, okay, so that's my philosophy, and very similar.
Sure.
Or if you only get 10 more cars to drive for the rest of your life, like, you're going to die after the 10th drive. Mm-hmm. What do you get to drive? These are my 10.
Yep. That was basically what this list is for me.
Yep.
Okay, so like I said, I think my list is so far off from what
The beaten path.
Off the beaten path, and I imagine you haven't heard of half of these.
That's kind of what I was trying to do with mine, but at the end of the day, I just got to be honest with myself. People are going to have heard of a lot of these.
Right. How many Porsches are on your list?
Hold on. My list is on my phone, and then I have all the stats. I have all the stats on my computer. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. 4 of my greatest 10 cars of all time are Porsches. I'm actually shocked it's only 10, but the motorsport, having to be road legal, really
narrowed it down. Because, by the way, I really kind of crushed Nick Streams when I said that these had to be road legal, because his response was, I'm sure someone's made a 917 road legal. They have to have made a 917 road legal. Save it for the top 10 race cars, because that's going to be an even better debate, I think.
Without a doubt. You're just going to be like, Nick, question number 1, why not anything that's not a Porsche?
Real quick, just to get some kind of baseline before we do this.
Yes.
Of your 10, how many of the cars are older than you?
Ooh, I like that question again. Ben coming out swinging.
Because I looked at mine, and the answer is shocking.
All of them.
All of them?
Yeah.
Okay, nine of mine are... Well, okay, here's the thing. We'll get into this. Originally, 9 of these were older than me. But today... 1, 2, 3, 4... 4 or 5 of them.
Oh, when you first made the list compared to how it sits now?
No. We'll get into that. I have a fascination with a certain type of vehicle, which we'll get into in a bit. Okay, so we obviously know how many of yours are Porsches. So all 10 of yours are older than you.
Yes.
Okay, why? Not why are they older than you? Why are there none that are younger? Why is there no new? Because I have one car on my list that is from the 21st. Actually, I have one car on my list that's newer than 1997.
So there was one car that was going to be newer, and that's the one I just at the last moment pulled out.
Okay.
Because, so you'll understand, the car was a car that was based on a race car. And then I was like, wait a minute. The race car was based off of, they made like 11 street versions of that are more accurately distilled.
Sure.
So that's why I pulled it. But I only had one. I would say the main reason is just with the advent of higher performance cars that are more reliable and safer, you lose a lot of what I want in a driving experience. Not to say that my way is right or wrong for people listening. There's nothing wrong with a Shelby GT350R. Like, that is arguably in one of my honorable mentions. But if I'm going to sit here where I am right now at 23 in San Antonio, and with what I've driven or had access to, it has to be older and way out of any price range that I could have ever imagined even being around. So, yeah.
Well, in that case, real quick, because mine aren't. Are your 10 in order?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait,
so
in order of what? Just like,
so is number 1 on your list? Number 1, like, is that the one?
I did it 10 to 1, like ascending.
Okay, but like, is, whatever end it is one end the greatest on your list?
Yes.
Okay, mine are just absolutely random, by the way.
That's not fair. Okay,
what do you mean it's not?
No. You need to make the hard decisions of which one is which. I'm not going to sit and listen to Ben go through his list of 10 for me to just figure out what order they're in.
They're actually pretty close, I will be honest.
Okay, well, good.
I have to move like 2 around. All right.
So here's what I was going to say we do. Why don't we each do our 10th, get thoughts, each do our 9th, get thoughts, 8th, and so on. All right, so Ben.
I can't wait to hear yours. No, I want you to go first, because mine is... I guarantee you've never heard of this. Go ahead.
I'll give you 3 guesses what my 10th place car is.
Your 10th place car is?
You'll never guess. You'll never.
Oh my gosh.
And it's not a Porsche. So that narrows it down.
It's not a Porsche? Oh, then
No.
I have absolutely... I was just running through my head, which variant of 911 did you pick?
Fantastic. The 1967 Lotus Cortina Mark II with the twin cam.
Ooh, that's good. That's very good.
Because I decided to put some of the stats in a doc so that I can just quickly go through it for people to kind of get the idea. It is a 6,000 RPM twin cam 4-cylinder that weighs 1,995 pounds with a 4-speed manual. And for those of you that don't understand Lotus twin cam, we are talking, and here's another episode that we're going to do. We are talking, if not top 10, at least top 20 greatest motors of all time.
Yeah,
like,
it's
not
in
terms of reliability, but just it's such a good motor. So anyway, I put that on there because my dad having had one, and I've driven one once. It was the first I learned manual in it, first time ever. That was that car getting wound up just had a sound. It was a really preppy little motor. The things are light, and all you need to know for racing fans is Jim Clark and Graham Hill drove those in British Touring Car when they weren't in F1. So
what more do you need?
If Jim Clark drove it, it's good enough for me.
It's probably pretty good. All right. So number 10 on my list, which this was a late entry, I'll be honest. You've probably never heard of it. It is the 715 Motorworks Indy Troy Special.
So stupid. All right, what is it? The
715 Motorworks Indy Troy Special.
And you're sure this isn't a motorcycle?
I'm positive it's not a motorcycle.
Indy Troy Special?
Yep.
Okay, that's cool.
Right, okay, so...
I don't know if I'd say top 10 all time, but all right.
No, I disclosed before this, if I was given a garage of 10 cars, it would be in there.
You're right. My apologies.
So, if you are... if you're on Instagram, you will have seen this. If you're watching on YouTube, there will be a picture of it on the screen right now. So this is a basically look-alike of a 50s Indy car, except it has a 550 horsepower LS up front. And it's also got like push-rod suspension and
all you needed to know. We just summed up the clutch dump.
Yes.
Twin cam Lotus Touring Core. It's got an LS in it. It looks old.
It's like, oh, so there's like racing heritage, and it's got this spicy little twin cam, and I'm like, so this thing weighs 1,600 pounds and makes 500 horsepower.
It has a lot of America in it, so
yeah. So and they're super cool, and they're all hand built, and they're all very expensive. And when this car got debuted like a year ago, I just thought it was one of the coolest things ever.
Hell yeah!
And I want one. And the reason I put it on there is I was deciding which sketchy, raw, road legal track car did I want. Did I want to put an Ariel on here? Did I want to put a Caterham on here?
Right.
Did I want to put either a even a Lotus 7 or like a BAC Mono on here?
Right.
And it was just one of those things of, well, it's a road car. And I was trying to think of this in terms of road car, even though you'll hear one on my list and go, you idiot.
Same here. You'll hear a few of those.
There's a couple. Actually, I think all from here, they're kind of useless on the street, but they have plates. So
that counts.
Yeah, and just the Indy Troy Special just looks awesome, and I don't know. It's freaking cool.
Works for me. Works for me.
Nick Patty, your number 9.
Yeah, number 9 is the... and there had to be an old American muscle car on here.
All right.
This is what replaced the GT500, a 68 GT500. 69 440 Charger Daytona. I mean, come on.
69 4... Okay, all right.
So 4-speed manual,
Sure.
440 cubic inch V8, 425 horsepower, 3,200 pounds. And at the end of the day, it is just, I was sitting there and I was like, okay, do I go 69 Z28 Camaro? But then I was like, good. Not quite as extreme as if I'm going to choose one American muscle car. What to me is like and obviously I'm thinking old. The newer ones they're fine, but they're not so unique that I'm going to choose it over an old one. And I was like, well, besides the 454, the biggest motor put in a American muscle car is the 440. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Heavy, baby.
So, Nick Patty, you are correct.
Surprise or no?
Not really. I knew that you were going to pick an old American car.
Right.
And I do have 2 old American cars on here. But they're not old muscle cars per se in the traditional sense.
Stop. I have a 72 CUDA, but it's got a turbo diesel in it, and it's...
No. And that car's a 73, by the way.
I'm just coming up with a random car.
So, I built a 73 CUDA with a turbo diesel.
I remember for Demolition Matt, right?
Yeah. So, I agree. If I had to pick a muscle car to be a representative for old muscle cars, I would pick a Charger. Having driven all stock original versions of the big three, the Charger, the Camaro, and the Mustang, it's the worst.
Yeah, no,
for sure.
But see, that's the point. Is like if you look up old Charger Daytona videos on YouTube that are not NASCARs, all it is an axle chopping burnout in a parking lot. That is it. Like,
they're not good.
That's all the car does.
Yeah, they don't turn. There's so much body roll. The brakes basically don't work, but it makes a lot of power.
The brakes are a scrub daddy. Moving over
that's all it is. Excellent choice.
Thank you. I'm proud. I'm very proud.
Well, in that case,
what's your number 9?
My number 9, which by the way, I'm coming up with this off the spot because mine are out of order.
I'm going to
know. I hope you will have heard of this. Lamborghini.
Yes.
Diablo SV.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so
what's interesting is you and I both have a Lamborghini SV on our list.
Really, but different ones.
And way different rankings.
So the question is for starters, I just put this on my list now. I imagine if I sat here and looked at it, it'd end up being like number 1 or something. So the question is yours a Mira or a Mercy? And we will wait and see.
Yeah. We're going to see.
But the V12 Lambos, I think, are so iconic, and I want one. They're the poster cars. They just are.
Yeah.
And I noted at one point I had posters of Mira, Countach, Diablo on my wall, just because you have to like them.
But see, and that's the thing. And for anybody that's listened to these episodes consistently, you will know neither of us are particularly large Lambo fans, and me even less so.
No, there's many other things.
But
they're freaking iconic, and I really want one.
Exactly. It's like at the end of the day, there's a gated manual with a V12 behind you.
Right. And here's the thing. I think Diablos look the business. I think they look so good.
I think the Diablo GT1 looks the business.
It looks really good.
Or the GTR, whatever it's called. I have a problem with the street Diablo trim. It looks a little... The rear looks wide, nasty, curvy. The front and the side skirts look a little like...
Yeah, well, I can't remember who owned Lamborghini at that point, but Lamborghini's been bankrupt like 6 times.
Right. Like Lotus.
Yes. Also on my list. But if you... the thing that I was listening to a different automotive podcast the other day, which you shouldn't do. Only listen to
Traitor!
Sorry. They brought up V12 Lamborghinis. And it's like, Lamborghini's known for the V12s or whatever, and so is Ferrari. But if you think of the list of V12 Ferraris, it's a huge list. If you think of Lamborghinis,
it's
as far as the
most
mid-engine ones,
but
if you think about it, the list is short. Mira, Diablo, Mercy, Aventador.
Well, okay, in terms of model names there is, but in terms of decades, it's 70 years.
Oh, it's a million because they make 15 different versions of all of them.
Right.
Like the Countach was in production for like 15, 20 years. Like it was in production.
Yeah, it was
forever.
like 70 94 through 92.
Yeah, something like that. It was they just run forever. Like the Aventador came out in like
2012.
Or was it 12? I can't remember. I'm going to look this up because I'm going to say...
Oh, wait, it was still Gallardo and Murcielago.
Lamborghini Aventador. When did it come out? Good old Wikipedia. 2011.
Ooh, I was close. I'll
There
take
we
Lambo
go.
trivia for 400.
2011. And they haven't changed the car. It's still the same.
And they literally are coming out with Aventador, Mira, Roadster SV, some like last hurrah for the Aventador.
Well,
and it's like, dude, that car was dead. Let it rest.
Well, they built the final Aventador. It's already been built. It already exists.
And there you go.
But this year they're supposed to debut the replacement, which is still going to be a V12. Apparently, it's just a hybrid Aventador that doesn't look exactly like an Aventador.
Right.
So I picked Diablo SV because personally I think they're my favorite and they sound the best, and I've heard that they drive the worst.
You also forgot the Lamborghini Reventon in your list of E12 Lamborghinis.
Oh, sorry. The rebodied Murcielago. My bad. Yeah, so Diablo SV is number whatever that was.
That was number 9.
9. Okay, Nick Patty, you're number 8, I guess it would be.
This is like just a gimme, but having driven it, 1988 Rothman's Porsche Turbo Cup.
Oh my God,
like,
I knew it was on there.
Listen,
that was the thing. There was one car I could guarantee I could guess on your list, and it was yours.
So I was thinking about not putting it on there because I'm like, everybody's gonna be like, oh, okay, whatever.
He picked his own car. Yeah.
But again, 300 horsepower,
sure,
2,600 pounds,
sure,
5-speed,
sure,
factory cage, built from Weissach, and it's street legal. So this is one of like four street legal cars that are basically cheats, but there's been an example of it registered somewhere in the world legally for the street. So there you go.
There you go.
Nothing much.
Yeah, 944 Turbo Cup. Yeah, and I'll make sure to really annoy you. And when I edit this for YouTube, I'll put a picture of Sam's car.
Dude, you think you're being funny? In my notes, the photo I chose was Sam's car. So
oh my gosh! Dang it! Fine, I'll put a picture of your car. Okay. Oh man.
So you're number 8.
Pick next. Okay. So, my number 8 is the classic Mini Cooper.
No complaints.
Specifically, if I had to pick one, right?
It's funny because I'm over here and I'm like, I agree. And Ben's like, no, you don't get it.
But the one that I would pick would make you hate it. Because the one that I would pick...
The Clubman, please.
...takes away everything that the Mini is known for.
If you say
that I would...
Go ahead.
No, finish, please.
No, please. After you.
The one that I would pick is the Gildred Racing Super Cooper.
I don't even know what the hell that is.
Okay, so you don't need to look it up, because I can tell you everything about this car.
The Gildred Racing Super
Gildred Racing Super Cooper. It makes 500 horsepower, Nick.
So when he says the classic Mini Cooper, it's not the classic Mini Cooper. It's a
no.
Mini Cooper body.
But on the list of the top 10 greatest, best, whatever, road cars, I think the original front-wheel drive hot hatch should be on there. Mine just happens to be rear-wheel drive because the engine's behind you.
Right. And not, what was it, a 4-cylinder? Not even.
Yeah, it's not a 1.1 liter 4-cylinder.
Yeah, okay,
it's
there you
a
go.
supercharged 3.2 liter V6.
I don't know why I thought there was going to be anything other.
It's what I told you, is you won't guess what my list is.
It's like for me, it's like my number 1 is the 917 swap VW bus 21 window. Like,
yeah. But yeah, classic Mini Cooper, and I just think that the nuttiest one happens to be the Gildred Racing one.
And the best.
If you've watched the Netflix show World's Fastest Car, it was on there, and it is a 6-speed manual, 500 horsepower, rear-wheel drive Mini Cooper, and it smoked a McLaren
And here's the
720S
best
in a drag
part.
race.
Here's the best
Yes.
part: is it's no bigger or safer. So you are
No. It's
more likely
just a Mini
to die.
Cooper.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
It doesn't have
for
a
sure.
cage.
No.
Yeah,
Not a carbon fiber monocoque with a Cooper bot.
No.
It is the original body.
That they put 500 horsepower in behind you. Dude, it runs like a 10-second quarter mile, and it's stick, and it's still on wheels that are like half an inch wide.
Yeah,
It's
they're
awesome.
like the 12-inch mini lights.
Yeah. It's freaking cool.
Unreal.
Also, they're like $300,000.
So
it's
if
stupid.
you have money burning a hole in your pocket,
If you have money burning a hole in your pocket,
Ben is the friend
give
for
it
you.
to me so that I can buy a dumb old Mini Cooper. So number 8 on my list, Gildred Racing Super Cooper. But in general, the classic Mini Cooper.
Okay, well, my number 7 is another Porsche, and it's another non-surprise.
Of course it is.
1992, 911, Carrera RS, NGT Club Sport, which is the Japanese market club sport.
Okay.
260 horsepower, flat six, 6,100 RPM, 2,700 pounds with a 5-speed manual. All I need to say is metal motor mounts and open-headed flat six. End of story. And
Yeah,
it weighs
that checks out.
almost nothing. Chef's kiss. That's literally it. And the
Yeah,
one I
that
chose for
works.
the photos for Instagram, speed yellow with the 18-inch 3-piece silver speed lines. Just
Yep.
literally, like, when
Much
people
good
talk
such,
about
yes.
the hottest cars of all time, this to me has to be the hottest car of all time with no aerodynamics. Like, no canards, no wing, no front splitter,
Okay.
like, just a car. Oh, so good.
Okay. Let's see here.
Ben's like,
number
all right,
7.
another Porsche. What's
Oh
next?
God. Let's see here. What am I gonna pick? We'll go with my one new car. And it is the Aston Martin Valkyrie.
I was going to put on, what's the one we just talked about that looks like the 70s Vantage?
The Vector.
That was
Something like
going to be on my list. And I was
Yeah.
like, I can't quite do it.
So I picked the Valkyrie because
Because it's absurd.
it's absolutely absurd. And it's a Formula One car with 2 seats, basically.
I'm not going to
But-
lie. That one actually is a sneaker. That one's a surprise for what I anticipated being on your list.
Well, I wanted one just bananas modern full aero crazy track car.
Sure.
And I didn't want to pick the Project One because
Because Mercedes sucks.
very cool. I don't care about it that much. The Valkyrie is nuts because it is so goddamn fast.
Oh,
and they'll
and
just-
V12 noises.
And they'll just let you buy one. Like,
Yeah.
they should not sell these to people.
They check your ID and they're like, oh, you're not Max Verstappen? That's fine.
Yeah. Like, if you're wondering how fast a Valkyrie is, when they were giving test rides to customers, the guy they had driving, oh God, what was his name? Nico Hulkenberg, I think is what it was. And it's like, if this is the dude giving you test drives, I'm sorry, you can't drive this car fast enough.
Yeah. That
And the problem with aero cars,
is the only
is
way
like-
they're safe is when they're driven at speed.
you have to drive them fast enough for it to work, or slow enough to not need it. If you go anywhere in the middle, which is where most Valkyrie owners
Dead.
live, I'm assuming, in the world of like GT3 RSs, and they've probably owned like 48 Pistas and SF90s, and they probably own a Huayra or 12. But like, it's so fat because it is it's designed to fit in the new Le Mans Hypercar class. And then they were like, oh wait, no, we want an F1 team. Yeah, we can't afford to do both of these. Yeah, why don't you just give those to people? Why don't we just sell these to people?
Hey, we need a car that can compete with Porsche at Le Mans in the top class. And then they're like, we also need a street-going F1 car. And they're like, I got an idea.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So Aston isn't entering Le Mans Hypercar because they have an F1 team now.
You know.
So Aston Martin Valkyrie, because, like 4.5-liter Cosworth V12 and 8 tons of downforce.
There needs to be a bumper
is.
sticker that comes with owning the car, and it says the Aston Martin Valkyrie. When you can't afford to do WEC and Formula One.
Right.
That's all you need to say.
Lawrence picked Formula One, so
yeah, exactly.
We get the Valkyrie. So that is my one crazy car. Other cars that I was thinking about, obviously the Project One, like I said, the McLaren Solus GT was on there, the Gordon Murray T50S plus Premium Performante, whatever it is, and then the LaFerrari FXX, I think is what it's called, Evo. Those were the other cars on there. But yeah, number 7, Aston Martin Valkyrie.
Well, fantastic. I think that's a good choice.
Nick Patty, what is your next Porsche?
Oh, it's not. This is actually the only Ferrari on my list.
Okay.
And more importantly, this Ferrari is one that I have been a fan of since I was a wee lad. I've had models of it, and it has, from the day I've seen it, continued to be one of my favorite Ferraris of all time.
Okay, hold up.
Do you have any guesses?
Well, my next car is also a Ferrari.
Oh, is it? Well, it's vintage, yeah, because your one modern one has already happened.
It's old.
Is yours also a front engine V12 with a gated 6-speed? Or wait, 6-speed or 5-speed? Hold on. 5-speed.
Let me check. I think it is. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
Nick Patty, what is your next car?
1971 365 Daytona.
No.
Yours is the 275.
No.
Well,
no.
So mine is the 365 Daytona Ferrari. And guys, this car in race trim. I wish this was a racing episode, because it in race trim, where you get rid of the pop-up headlights and it's the plexiglass on the front, looks so hot.
Here's the thing. Nick, I'm going to say something controversial.
Oh?
You're wrong. No. Incorrect. I would not own a 365 GT4 in race trim. I would only own it in street trim.
Well, fine. Good thing this is a street car.
I might have a convertible, because that's what it's supposed to do.
So this car makes 347 horsepower, which is nothing crazy, but guys, this is 1971. That's significant power. At 7,500 RPM in a naturally aspirated, carbureted Ferrari V12. And then just the creme de la creme is the 5-speed gated manual. Like, this car, now here's the thing. It came with wire wheels, or it came with the beautiful 5-spoke Ferrari wheels. And the ultimate color combination is the red with the gold 5 spokes. I present to you the Ferrari Daytona. Ben's looking it up actively if you're not watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you would see this. But alas. What do you think, Ben?
I think it's a fantastic choice, and I was debating between that car and mine.
What's yours?
Number 6
What's your
car.
Ferrari?
My car is none other than the greatest.
Is it?
Front
It's
engine.
the 250 GTO.
It's the 250 short wheelbase.
Oh,
Not
okay.
the GTO.
No, fair play.
I think the short wheelbase looks so much better.
I think it's really hard to pick because they're very different in terms of the looks, obviously.
They're so different. I think the short wheelbase looks better. And specifically, because I'm going to be specific, like my Mini Cooper, I'm going to pick the GTO Engineering 250 short wheelbase. No. Calm down. It's okay. Nick, breathe. It's okay. No. If you look it up, I'll have pictures.
Oh, trust me, I am typing like a madman.
GTO Engineering 250 short wheelbase. Looks like a 250.
Right.
Feels like a 250.
Right.
Has the same engine in a 250.
Right.
It's a 250.
Right.
However, it's $1 million, not 15.
Well, so I'm going to be even more specific on your pick.
Okay, please.
My favorite 250 short wheelbase, there are two. One is there's a particular one that is white with the French flag as stripes going up the top, which is gorgeous.
Pretty hot.
And then my second favorite is the one that is the exposed aluminum with the yellow stripe up over the front fenders, about a quarter way up the car. Beautiful. Beautiful.
I would just have one in dark red. That's just what I would do.
Hey, more power to you.
Hey, I think they're gorgeous. I think it's the classic Ferrari shape.
But this is something that we both can't live without. Those videos of the roaring Ferrari V12, high RPMs, going to the hillsides, it's just like it's...
We will have this conversation in our...
Top 10 best sounding engines of all time.
Well, whether it's best sounding or just best engines of all time.
No. We need to have a best sounding. Because there's some good sounding motors that are... I wouldn't want.
Fair.
Like, there's Honda motors that sound good. I would never want one powering my car.
That's fair enough. But I think if you're looking at greatest enthusiast cars, performance cars, desirable cars from a car enthusiast standpoint, there is a front-engined V12 Ferrari on everyone's list.
Oh, if there's not, I'm taking them to a psychiatric ward.
They need to be checked out.
No, easily.
So I think it was just a matter of what flavor of Colombo V12 do you want. It's just what it was, and Nick picked the Daytona, which I think is beautiful, and I just went slightly older, and that's it. And it goes back to that statement: if you have a kid draw a car, they will color it red.
Yep. Well,
there you go. Ferrari had to be on the list.
I'm going to be honest. I have an Aston Martin on my list too.
Okay, so you have an Aston on your, and I'd like it noted.
5.
Oh, it's number 5. Nick Patty, what is your number 5?
A car you may have never seen or heard of. And if you haven't, that's okay. Because I think they made, like, all of 5. And I think there's, like, 2 left. One that's a race car and one that's a street car. Yeah.
DBR1?
One sold for $1.9 million. No. It is, without a shadow of a doubt, the best-looking Aston Martin ever made in the history of the brand. That's a bold claim, I know.
Someone write that down. That is a bold statement.
1960 Aston Martin DB4 GT Zagato.
Yep, facts. So good.
Yep.
Beyond good.
Yep.
Beyond good. I'll be honest. It is in my 5 honorable mentions.
Interesting.
DB4 GT Zagato. It's in there.
Oh.
So
I don't
here's
even
the
need
thing.
to say anything. If you don't know what it is, look it up.
It's so good. There will be mini pictures of it here. I think they look fantastic. I wanted an old Aston to be on my list. And I just think that my other 5 kind of outshadowed it personally for me. But it's on my list. I really wanted an old twin cam, straight 6, 50s, 60s, beautiful sports touring car, right? I couldn't decide between Aston or E-Type. I couldn't decide between the two.
Are you telling me that an E-Type is your number 5?
No. E-Type is not on my list. I ended up picking the DB4,
Thank God.
But then ended up picking 10 things better.
Right, okay.
But there is an E-Type in my 5 honorable mentions.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
So what is your number 5?
My number 5 is from the 1960s. And
our list is a lot more similar than I thought it was going to be.
I'll be honest. I really expected just Nick to be like, so the 996, 911 Turbo, the 997,
the Cayenne,
911 Turbo.
The Panamera.
Yeah. I was totally expecting Nick to be like, number 1 greatest car of all time, 944 Turbo Cup. Like, I absolutely going into this was like, what? Like,
you're off Nick your goddamn rocker.
Dude, coming into this, I was thinking, I was like, what could Nick narrow down his top 10 Porsches into one list? Could he do it? He'd probably just have a list of 70 and just start throwing darts at it and be like, I guess
I got the Wheel of Fortune wheel.
996 base Carrera. That's the greatest car of all time. No, my car. My number 6 pick is the Shelby Daytona.
Number 5.
Is it 5?
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Sorry, I can't pick. Shelby Daytona.
Did they make the Cobra Daytona for the street, or are you talking about the CSX continuation Cobra?
The continuation one. The new one.
You bastard. It's so
I know,
good.
right? It's so good.
You know what's funny is I also have a Shelby on my list.
Yeah. Well, I have another one still. We might have the same car up here.
No shot.
And technically, the Shelby Daytona that I was thinking of was like a new Superformance car.
Well, no, you got to do the like the actual Shelby continuation car, the CSX.
Well, either one. Here's the thing, because I've driven a Superformance car, and I'll be honest. If someone could go, of the cars you've driven, you have 5 minutes left. Pick one car. I'm getting in the silver over tan interior 427 5-speed Shelby Daytona.
I am in disbelief.
Business, dude.
I am in disbelief at the similarity between our lists as we're getting to the top.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Your V6 Mini Cooper down there. Okay, your Indy whatever down there. But as we're getting to the pointy end of things,
to the point, I think we have similar taste. I'll be honest though. I guarantee you, my 432 you do not have on your list. Guaranteed. You might have those makes on your list, but I guarantee you don't have them on your list.
Well, you don't have my number 4 on your list.
I'm very intrigued.
My number 4 is the one I was referring to at the beginning, where it was inspired by a race car, and then I was like, wait, but there's a better inspired version by a race car.
Oh, mine is the street version of a race car.
Although you are going to disagree with my substitution.
Okay, well, Shelby Daytona, I think it's a beautiful shape, and having driven both a Daytona and a Cobra, I had to pick one of the two. I think they're just so much cooler than a traditional muscle car. They're just a bit more
and the
sketch
Cobra
to
Daytona
them.
is so much cooler, in controversial opinion, cooler than the GT40 and the Cobra. Like, it is just the forgotten 427 Shelby project, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I know people know about it, but mainly, if you were to point it out, more people will call it a Ferrari 250 GTO than people that will call it a Shelby, unless it's in the blue with the white stripes. That all being said, the Cobra Daytona thrashed everything.
Such a good looking car.
Yeah.
And I just think whether it's a Daytona or a Cobra, if I had to pick 10 cars, I'd pick one of the two. So Shelby Daytona is number 5 on my list. Nick Patty, your mysterious number 4.
996 911 GT1 Strasseversion, which is the street legal.
Oh,
GT1.
I'm aware.
Yeah, well, I'm saying for the people listening who are like, the Strasse, what the what? It is the street legal 996 GT1. Now, what
Nick
it
Patty,
replaced...
You and I's list are so close.
What
Go
it
ahead.
replaced is the Carrera GT. And the reason I think you're going to disagree that I replaced the Carrera GT is you're going to say NAV10, like, all day.
No, I think if I had to pick between the two, I'd pick the GT1 as well.
Really?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, well then that's a pleasant surprise. But I sat there and I was like, I gotta have the rear fenders on the GT1, and it's just so much more exclusive. Yeah. There's nothing else to say, guys. It's a GT1 from the 90s that they slapped license plates on.
Yeah. By the way, speaking through all of this, if you haven't seen it already, I'm going to plug someone else's YouTube channel because they absolutely deserve it, and I think it's an underrated YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it already, go to the Carfection YouTube channel. Nick, do you follow Carfection?
Never heard of her.
Oh my gosh, you need to hear about her. Carfection is such a good YouTube channel, but Carfection and Petrolicious are such good YouTube channels.
Petrolicious, obviously.
Carfection is so good. A year or two ago, Henry Catchpole, who I adore because his writing is outstanding, Henry Catchpole did a test between CLK GTR, 911 GT1, and McLaren F1. He did a 4-part series, and it was amazing, and all of their videos are fantastic. They're filmed... he didn't really pick a winner. I think it was actually the GT1, though. Like, of the ones he had to take home, I think he picked the GT1.
Yeah.
But, like, it's such a good... Like, Carfection is just such a good channel. Their video quality is so good, and Henry is such a good writer that it turns into really great scripted videos. Anyway, 911 GT1. Excellent choice, sir.
Thank you.
My number 4 pick, which is a street legal GT1 car,
is the F1.
1997 Lotus Elise GT1.
Let's go, baby! Let's go!
So, I am a Lotus diehard fan. There's a sign right there. You can't see it, but it's right there above my head, and it says Lotus parking only. I'm a Lotus fan.
I have a Lotus in my driveway. You can't see it, but it's there.
Sorry, trust me, it's there.
I promise.
Promise. I had to have a Lotus on my list.
Uh-huh.
And what I like about Lotuses is Lotusi? I don't know.
Loti.
Loti. What I like about Loti is that they're just super tiny and sketchy and twitchy, and I think it's the coolest one. And the thing about the Elise GT1 is it never actually raced in GT1. It never got there. It didn't make enough.
But it wasn't GT1 though, right?
It didn't make enough power. So here's the thing about the Elise GT1. If you got the street car, it had a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V8 with a 5-speed Renault transaxle.
Okay.
But if you got the race car, it came with a 6-speed sequential and a 5.7-liter LT5 out of a C4 Corvette ZR1.
What the hell?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
If you bought the race car version of an Elise GT1, it came with the dual overhead cam V8 from a Corvette and a 6-speed sequential.
Or you could just buy a C4 Corvette.
Or you could just buy a C4 Corvette because they're freaking cool. But as far as the street car version goes, twin turbo tiny V8 has to be bananas to drive.
Oh, without a doubt.
And it's got a 5-speed Renault box, so I'm assuming it hates life. But it's gotta be freaking cool, dude. And I want one so bad. Also, the other thing is there's one dude that him and his dad bought a GT1 race car to go racing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what motor they put in the back of a GT1? 8.4-liter V10 out of a Dodge Viper.
Oh, that's so
this
good.
was in like 1998. They bought 2 GT1s, cut them both in half so that they could make one long enough for a Viper V10.
I love how Lotus.
And apparently it was stupid
I love
fast.
how Lotus in the mid-90s was like, right, mate, we need an American V8. We need an American motor to throw in some of these bastards. And they're like,
they picked the worst one.
Right, we want a Corvette motor. And Dodge is over here like, all right, screw you, brother. I tell you what, I got 2 more cylinders and a lot more horsepower. I tell you what.
But, like, of the American V8s to pick, they were like, how about we pick the really crazy, technologically advanced dual overhead cam V8? It's like, you couldn't have just picked, like, the normal LT1 and just put a turbo on the back. It would have been really fast. Or two. So, Lotus Elise GT1. What is it about homologation race cars that are so cool? Why do we like? Why do we as enthusiasts like them? Because other cars that were on my list, for starters, the next car on my list is also a homologation race car.
Mine is too.
Gosh, from what era? What year is your next car?
The 60s.
Okay, mine is early 70s. But I mean, like other
mine
cars.
Mine is a 1964 to be exact.
Okay, mine's a 1972. Is yours German?
No.
Oh, okay, mine is. But like other cars,
72 German homologated car.
You won't pick it. But it's like one of my dream cars. But like other cars that came up on my list was like Mercedes 2.3 16 Evo 2.
Right.
And like I just like old homologation race cars. They're super cool. It just
the
feels
original
like
924 Carrera GT.
Right. It feels like one of those things that like they're so antisocial because it's like you shouldn't have one of these. Like it's like you shouldn't have one.
It's road legal. It wasn't supposed to be.
Right. Like it's like as opposed to like where you can take a street car and turn it into a race car. It's the other way. It's like we'll build a street version of a race car.
And the street versions of the race car are always better than the race versions of a street car.
Right. Because they're built.
No, I agree.
Not so.
I am in full agreement with you on that.
So Nick, your number 3 car, which is not German and not from the 1970s,
bringing more American bald eagle ponies into the ring.
Oh, okay.
A 64 competition 427 Cobra.
Oh, okay. I approve. 64 would be a narrow body car. That'd be a Mark 1 car.
Yes.
Slab side car. Not with the hips, with the flares, which is the proper car to have.
In the
narrow body car
look like hips.
Am I thinking of the wrong car?
No, yeah, this definitely has the big old hips.
Oh, okay. Well, I subtract my statement.
The 289 is the narrow body, but for the 427, they punched everything out.
Oh, but the 289 is the one to have.
Yeah, but Ben.
Oh, no, I get it. I totally understand.
Right. Yeah.
But like, just heads up for all of you out there, all of our listeners that are clearly in the market for a Cobra,
an actual competition FIA Cobra,
an actual competition Cobra. For those of you that have a cool 5 million lying around, buy a narrow body car. Don't buy a Mark 1 car. Don't buy a Mark 2.
How about new?
Thank you, Nick. Okay, so why a Cobra other than the fact that it's just cool as shit?
Because I was sitting there and I was like, what? Okay, and I found this guy on Instagram. He has a 427 actual Cobra, a real one. Because I swear they are the most replicated cars in the history of cars. And it's all black. And he just posts video of him thrashing it in California. And I'm sitting there, and the 427, if you had to say what moniker is like the most famous American motor of all time, it has to be 427.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's got to be something on my list. And I was thinking race cars that in rare numbers are street legal. And I was like, the Shelby Cobra, man, just looks so good. And the one with the really wide fenders, the meaty tires underneath it. And then I was like, you can't. Granted, the 289 is a better race car, but we're not talking about race cars now, are we?
No, these are street
cars. So when you are torching the rear tires from light to light, give me all the power.
Right. When you have a street car and not a race car, as I know, you want more power.
So for those of y'all that don't know, it's got a 485 horsepower V8, and it weighs 2,300 pounds.
Oh, they're terrifying to drive.
Yes!
They're sketchy to drive, dude.
I want it all.
I've driven a couple of kit cars, and they are terrifying. And now, granted, some of the kit cars might be terrifying because they were built by people, not by Shelby.
Right.
But they're freaking sketchy.
So, Ben, what is your number 3? Because
my number 3 is...
I'm very interested in this.
Here's the thing. I was deciding between this car and a much more famous homologation race car from this specific German brand. But I landed on a dream car of mine.
That's right, a 1972. Can I guess the brand?
Please.
So it's not Porsche.
Correct.
Probably not Mercedes. BMW CSL.
Well done, sir. Well done. My number 3 is the 1972 BMW 3.0 CSL, also known as the Batmobile.
So good. It's so good.
I think it's one of the prettiest race cars of all time.
Amen.
I think it's not the start of M, because the start of M was the M1, but I think the start of that sort of M car. There's a model of one sitting about 2 feet to my left.
Yep.
And the crazy part, you remember the hoodie I got for Christmas that I sent you pictures of?
Yeah.
It has a 3.0 CSL on it. My aunt bought me a hoodie.
Right.
With the 3.0 CSL on it. I've never talked to anyone about that car. And it is one of my dream cars, and it just showed up for Christmas.
It's a sign. Maybe next year there's one in your driveway.
Next year, I'm going to get an E9 BMW. But 1972 BMW 3.0 CSL, I think, is one of the prettiest race cars of all time.
Oh, good.
And I had to pick a touring car, homologation car. And the other cars I was thinking about was the E30 M3, because E30 M3. But I'm kind of over E30 M3s.
Well, listen, I'm over M3s. Can we get this M3 train out of here?
Easy.
No, listen.
Easy.
Listen,
E46
it's good.
M3s are
Whatever year there was an M3, there was a better Porsche. I'm tired of acting like there wasn't.
Well,
the point is BMW pre-M3 is, to me, the only BMW I care about.
That's...
Minus M1.
Okay.
Well, no. Well, M1 started what? 79, 80?
Yeah, something like that.
And the first M3 was what? Mid-80s?
Yep.
Okay, so, yeah. Well, no, the M1 wasn't didn't overlap.
Yep.
So,
there you go.
M3 fanboys cry about it.
I was debating between E30 M3 3.0 CSL and, as I said, Mercedes 2.3 16V Evo 2.
Which are fantastic.
And I landed on 3.0 CSL, even though, I don't know, it probably wasn't the best race car of them, but it's the best looking, and it's freaking awesome.
Best looking for sure.
Yeah. Okay, Nick Patty. This is okay. Describe your number 2 car to me. What era?
Mid-engine?
Okay. Yes.
60s.
Yes.
Gated.
Yes.
V12.
No.
The Miura SV.
Okay. All
this
right.
is where it fell into my list.
I figured it was coming up.
So, I think Lamborghini's overrated. I think the Miura is... It's hard to say it's overrated when I say it's the number 2 road car of all time, in my opinion. I think people... I don't know what I'm trying to say, other than people obsess over the Countach, but the Miura is exponentially better looking, and it has better stats, and it's better sounding, and it's... Listen, the car that invented supercars is it just has to be. It has to be.
It has to be up there.
I don't... Literally, there's nothing else to say other than what I said about the Ferrari Daytona. It's a gated V12. This one's right behind you.
Fair enough. I can't argue with that. I think it's definitely up there. It is one of my 5 honorable mentions. I love how the ones in my list you're like, yeah, it's my honorable mention, but I got here's the thing. Honestly, if it was like, Ben, pick the top 10. Like, if I had like a week to do this, I could probably write a list 50 cars long. And not put them in any particular order.
I could write a list 50 cars long, and I wouldn't get anything outside of Porsche. So I mean,
exactly.
I mean, yeah.
So my number 2 car.
Yes. Oh man.
Okay. It is from the 60s.
Okay. What country?
Italy.
Motor?
V8.
A 60s Italian V8.
It's red.
Okay, so it's either a Mangusta or a Bizzarini.
No. You're gonna hate yourself.
No.
You're gonna punch yourself in the face.
No, I'm not.
Let it go.
No, I don't think I shall.
Okay.
It's not an Alfa. Alfa didn't have a V8 in the 60s.
Is it?
Did they? Is it an Alfa Romeo?
It is a 1968 Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale.
Oh. I'm over here thinking TZ, like a TZ2, like a 1962 or 63, and I'm like, none of those were V8s. Those were all
beautiful,
4 and 6 cylinders.
Outstanding, by the way. Which, if I have to pick a list of like the top 10 most beautiful
the 33
cars,
Stradale. I really put a Dodge Daytona over a 33 Stradale. Ooh.
You did. I mean, I'll put a picture of it on the screen.
There's nothing more to say. Yeah, no, that's it.
And it's got like a tiny V8, which means it sounds the business.
Yeah, it's like a 2.5 or 3 liter V8.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I mean, it's so good. It was honestly, when I was coming up with my list, it was the first car that came to mind.
Really?
It was the first car that came to mind.
My number 1 is the first car that came to mind, obviously.
Well, here's the thing: is that my number 1 car popped up, and then once it popped up, I was like, okay, it's better than a 33 Stradale, but just
by the hair on your chinny chin chin, it is better.
Barely. Okay, Nick Patty. So this is the important part of this. And before we get into this, we will reiterate. This is our personal opinions. This list means nothing. It doesn't change how the world spends. It does not affect the price of tea in China.
The cars that we listed are not going to appreciate value because we said they're cool. So,
right. However, I think everything on my list will probably appreciate in value.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Okay.
Which
your number
Porsche?
1 car. Era. Oh, okay. So yours is going to be a Porsche.
Oh,
because you've only had 3. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. It's a Porsche.
I'm not going to tell you what era or what engine because that will give it away.
Is the engine in front of or behind the rear axle?
Behind.
Okay.
Of the rear axle? It's in front of.
The rear axle. In front of. Okay. Is it air-cooled or water-cooled?
I think it's air-cooled. This is horrible to ask, or to even say. I don't even know.
Well, a Porsche lover doesn't know.
Because it's never been the most important part of the car.
You said...
Okay, it is air-cooled. It is air cooled.
It is air cooled. Okay. Let's see. You said I'm not allowed to guess engine or era. So what is your number one car?
No. I wasn't gonna give you the engine or era.
Oh, okay. Is it from the 1960s?
No. Well, I guess
1960s?
you could argue it started.
Is it from the 1970s primarily?
Yes.
Okay.
As in 2 years of the 1970s?
Okay. So let's see. We have a mid-engine Porsche from the 1970s. It's Nick Patty, so it's going to be...
It's the 2.4 liter 914. I'm just kidding.
You had me for a second. I was like, what?
Oh,
Lord. Oh, my gosh, dude. Oh, my God. Which, I really want a 914. I think they're awesome.
They're
I
awesome,
have to
but
have
not number one
day.
car of all time.
Oh, my gosh. Let's see.
You're stressing. You're straining way too much over this.
No, because I'm just... Is it a 917?
Yes, it's the one street legal
Oh
917 in
my gosh.
Switzerland. It's
This
the one by...
freaking dude said that these had to be road legal because his response was, I'm sure someone's made a 917 road legal. They have to have made a 917 road legal.
By Count Rossi. Yes. Which actually now there's two. There's a Martini and Rossi liveried one that was a factory race car that raced at Le Mans, raced at Sebring and the Nordschleife, and it was recently approved for street legal use in Italy, 2 years ago. And then there was one that's been street legal since the 70s. Ben was thinking, he was like, what could it be?
No, I was trying to think of anything other than a 917.
Yeah. No, well, it's a 917. I hate to break it to you.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so give me two prompts. Give me a country, decade, and if it's not a blatant giveaway, engine.
Oh, I will refrain from engine. It is from the 1960s. And it is from the gosh dang US of A.
I don't know why this is hard to figure out. Like, what the hell?
I know. I'm so excited.
So it's obviously a V8. If you just would have told me that doesn't narrow it down.
Bro, what are you talking about? It's a Cadillac Straight 8. Yeah, it's a V8.
Okay.
Which I'd like to note that I think Straight 8s ended pre-war. But yes.
Where
it
does
is
the
V8.
engine lie?
Oh, I can't say that.
Oh, I did
there.
for you. Mid-engine?
You know what it is.
Well,
It's okay, you can say it. Yeah.
No, I don't. Nothing.
Of
Literally,
course
my
you
head
do.
is empty.
Is
it a GT40?
It is.
I guess they made. Yeah, they made 3 street legal ones.
Oh, you can buy any recreation now that's street legal. That's fine.
So, but then it's not a 60s if it's a recreation. It's a 2019 Superformance.
So here's
Which
my thing.
actually would have made it more difficult. So thanks.
Oh, sorry. Well, yeah, it is specifically a Mark 1 GT40. Yep.
So our number ones were race cars that dominated Le Mans in the from 63 to 1971.
Yes,
and
our greatest road cars of all.
Somebody converted them to street use.
Our greatest road cars of all time were Le Mans race cars.
And if you expected anything else,
we're so good at this.
You haven't listened to enough of the Clutch Dump.
Oh my gosh! If you haven't listened to this, there should be no surprise. Here's the thing. If you're watching on YouTube, that's kind of a dead giveaway of where my heart lies. So I grew up in a Ford household. I'm a Ford person. I think that the 05 Ford
Chevy Camaro,
and I can drive a gosh dang Chevy Camaro. That's just because I can't afford a Coyote. Jacob, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. But I don't know. I think the GT40, Nick Patty, I'm going to make a statement here. I think the GT40 is the greatest American race car of all time.
Not even.
Disagree. I didn't say most successful. I said greatest.
Oh, I know. And I would only agree if you said most successful.
What is... other than all the greater things, what's greater than a GT40?
One American race car. And it's the John Greenwood Corvette.
The C3 Greenwood Corvette?
the American flag 427 that did 220 something down the back straight at Le Mans?
A Greenwood Corvette is better than a GT40?
Again, like you said, not more successful.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for my co-host. And whatever this is.
Whoa, I will not be disrespected on this podcast like that.
You will be, though. You will.
I shall not. You're telling me the C3 Greenwood Corvette is not a better looking car. The Spirit GT40 Corvette.
Nick, I'd like it noted, I put a GT40 in front of a 33 Stradale.
Okay, no. But I'm talking... Okay, and I'm not talking the 69. I'm talking the 76. Or is it... Yeah, Spirit of Le Mans 76. What?
Nick, I know what it is. I'm a Corvette fan. That's a Corvette sign there with the C3 on it. I'm a Corvette fan, but I really want one.
You're telling me,
but it's not. It is not a better looking car than a GT40.
I don't know why I'm acting so offended because I know everybody and their mom's dog will agree with you on this.
Yes, because everyone in their, especially their mom's dog, is correct. The GT40 is a better looking car.
It's not.
Okay. We will agree to disagree.
Hey, you know what we can agree on is they're equally good sounding.
Oh, fantastic cars. Old V8s are so good.
And the only reason the Greenwood Corvette's not on my list is it's not street legal. It will be on my race car motorsports list, though.
Yeah.
Which also, oh my gosh. Spoiler alert, the 917 and the GT40 will be on the greatest race cars of all time list. Just, I'm throwing that out there. 917 on mine, GT40 on Ben's. Don't even, like, I'm not saying number one, but it will be on... Who am I kidding?
No, hold up. Oh. On my top 10 race car list, the GT40 is not on there.
That makes no sense, but okay.
Well, because as a road car, it's the business. But as a race car, I could think of 10 cars that are better. Because when you think of top 10 race cars, you have to put performance in there.
But not success.
Well, not necessarily. It should be part of it, though. You shouldn't pick a... Like, I can't say, like, the 2022 Williams.
The Lister Storm from the 90s that raced was ass water. But it was so hot. And it sounded amazing.
Right, that makes it pretty, not a top 10 race car.
But in street car, we didn't care if it was practical.
No, because we're idiots.
Okay, alright, whatever.
Alright, Nick Patty, your... just give me your... Because you're five...
Yeah, so here's the thing, is I didn't prepare an honorable mention, so these are off the top of my head. So... My 5 honorable mentions for the greatest road cars of all time is the Porsche 959.
Okay.
Obviously.
Uh-huh.
The Ferrari 512 BB. Obviously. I feel like I have to say the Porsche 930 because it started a generation of turbocharged... I don't know if you want to call them supercars, but high-performance sports cars.
I would absolutely... Like, the fact that you did not have a turbocharged 911 in your top 10 baffles me.
Technically, the 996 GT1 is turbocharged.
No. No.
Whatever.
But the fact that you didn't have a... Like, I expected a 964 turbo.
So that's
in there,
3, right?
That was 3.
1969, De Tomaso Mangusta.
Ooh,
yes.
Such good. Much yes.
Very nice.
Okay. Very nice.
And then... what is my, like, last honorable mention? Babe, what's one of your favorite street cars of all time?
He's having to phone a friend.
Just one of your favorite street cars of all time.
5th gen Camaro.
Huh? Just one of your favorite street cars.
5th gen Camaro.
That's exactly what she said.
Oh my god.
Let me... Guys, this is...
Oh, Nick, he's got a look in his eyes. Okay. Nick?
I'll let Ben pick which generation, but a 996 or 997 GT2.
Oh, 997.
Okay, well, I'm choosing a 996 then, and it's the Club
God
Sport.
damn.
But it has to be the Club Sport. 996...
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, scratch it all. 993 GT2.
Facts. 100%. I'll give you that one.
All right.
Yep, for sure.
Look at that, we agree. And I fit more Porsches in there. Your 5 honorable mentions.
Eagle lightweight.
Bang on job.
Bang on job. Because as your Italian Lord and Savior, Enzo Ferrari, said, prettiest car of all time is the E-Type.
Yeah.
So I had to throw it in there.
He
and
also said aerodynamics for people who can't build engines, and that's my favorite quote of his.
And their F1 car is no good.
I would say Adrian Newey's over here like, really?
We have both.
Honda builds our engines.
Civics are fast. Eagle lightweight.
Yep.
This one you might hate, because I know you don't like it that much. F50.
I don't hate it. I just think the F40 is better.
Okay, I don't. State your reasoning.
Okay, first of all, looks.
Nope, incorrect.
Interior as well. The F40 has a much better interior.
It doesn't have an interior, Nick.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot Ben's all about the creature comforts.
Yeah, bro, come on. GT40, 33 Stradale, 3.0 CSL, Elise GT1.
None of those have interiors. Well, the 3-liter CSL does, but the rest of them
It probably doesn't. But, okay, sorry. Yes, continue. I think the F50 looks cooler and sounds better.
Well, I think you're off your bloody rocker.
Probably. Nick, I daily a 4th gen. We knew that.
That's true.
Eagle lightweight, F50, 63 split window Corvette. It's up there.
Strange, but yes.
Elaborate.
No, strange. Just like one of my favorite cars growing up was the split window Corvette.
Also, I saw one on my way to work yesterday.
But just like it's in your top 15 of all time, like.
Well,
because that's really what honorable mentions is it's just the top 15.
The Corvette is in my top 15. Hear me out. It's like the same thing I said with the Classic Mini. I don't care what year you get.
No, but you do.
But they're cool.
But you do, because a 2012 Mini Cooper is not in your top 10.
I said a Classic Mini, the old body style one, a right-hand drive one before they were owned by Rover.
The Corvette, so a C5R or a 58.
I am going to say
both
that they're basically the same thing. But I'm going to say that a transverse leaf spring Corvette.
Fine, that's specific enough for me.
Heads up, C8 Corvette, you're out. That's everything other than the C8. I think 63 split window because I think 62s look the best. I wish C1s drove better because I think they're ungodly gorgeous.
I think the C2 is the best looking generation Corvette.
C2 is the jam, and my boss and I are currently building one. That's going to be the business. So 63 split window is up there.
2 left, right?
Next, 2 left. You already know one of them. DB4 GT Zagato. It's up there. I had to have an old Aston in there, even though I picked a Valkyrie over a DB4 GT Zagato.
So the last car reveal.
Last car. Is a Porsche.
Oh! Which one?
Because here's the thing. I haven't had one. And Nick's going to hate me.
I'm going to... What decade?
Oh, this one.
Like the 2020s
kind of.
Or 2010s?
I mean, it depends when you bought it, yeah.
This is a GT2 RS?
No, it's a resto mod, Nick.
Of course, it was never going to be a real Porsche.
I couldn't pick something.
Gunther Works Tornado?
Nope, Singer DLS.
Okay, I was going to say Singer is the other one, but...
Singer DLS. I think that as a person who works at a shop that builds resto mods, I think Singer is on top of the pedestal. I think they took the 911, which is probably the most iconic sports car of all time. I think it is the most iconic sports car of all time.
Don't say what you're about to say. Don't put the words after what you've just said. Don't do
It's
it.
the most iconic sport cars of all time, and they respected the original design and the way of the 911 and just enhanced it.
What I thought you were going to say is...
it's way better than anything Porsche.
The most iconic sports car of all time, but they made it better. And I was going to be like...
I won't say better. It's different.
Thank you.
But if I had to pick, personally, my opinion, this means nothing to anyone else. Personally, me, if I had to pick a 911, it would have a Singer badge on it. But in old air-cooled 911, it would have a Singer badge on it. I think Singer DLS, I think it's up there. Really, any 911. So, because another one of these lists that we're going to do, which hopefully this does well. Hopefully the top 10s go well. Hopefully you like hearing our opinions and such.
I love it.
I think they're a good time. So we're going to do top 10 race cars. We're going to do some variation of engines.
Top 10 race cars, top 10 engines. We're definitely going to do the top 10 most iconic cars.
Well, here's the thing that I was going to throw in instead of iconic cars, important/influential cars.
How about both? How about we just
do both? It doesn't
more
matter.
episodes.
That's fine.
Because we can do one that's the top 10 most technologically revolutionary, or like the most like the McLaren F1 or something like that is going to be in that list, where it's like this car came out and it was like groundbreaking.
Right. Blew everyone's mind that this actually existed. Yeah. But yeah, that is my top 10. That is Nick's top 10.
So, okay, sitting back, I was pleasantly surprised with your top 10.
I was genuinely shocked at how close our lists were.
It was like, I can understand it, and there was just a level of insanity to make it a Walther special.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
If you watch, you need to watch this episode on YouTube, because this is the one to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Because it was like, oh, like you should have like a tiny, lightweight, nimble track special, something, whatever. It's like, I would recommend
33 Stradale. It literally is in museums alongside Michelangelo and Rembrandt. And then Mini Cooper put a V6 with twin Turpskys on
it. Yes, and then it was also like the Indy Troy special, which is like, you know, we had 33 Stradale and GT40 and like iconic race cars, and it was like, and then there's some dudes in Wisconsin that built some crazy shit.
There's a guy that had too much Coors Light, and he's spending his wife's 401k. Like they
are expensive though. Like, I don't know if you looked up how expensive an Indy Troy special is, but they start at $195. They're pricey.
You know what we should do, Ben?
What?
I think I have an idea for top 10.
Okay. Yes.
And then I'll let you in return do one for your favorite brand. I think we should do top 10 Porsches of all time.
I think it should be up there. I think we could argue for about 3 hours. Another one that we're going to do, which I'll have to explain it a bit more. Top 10, or it's really like a bottom 10, worst performance cars.
I like that.
Because I'm not saying like worst performing cars, because then it would just be a list of Priuses and Toyota Yaris's.
Right.
Top 10 worst performance cars. I'll explain. I have an example.
No, I'm thinking because I want to say something controversial.
Oh, please, go ahead. 911.
No, I don't know. I don't have it. I just want to say it.
You're like, I'd like to say. Yes.
Any Bugatti in the last 20 years.
No, because it's a good performance car. So, like, here's my example. Jaguar XE Project 8. Do you remember the Project 8?
Yes, oh, of course.
The four-door sedan thing? Mm-hmm. Who asked for a track car with 4 doors and no back seats?
Me. The Alpha GT-AM? Yeah. Give me.
But that's dumb.
You are making me very upset.
I'm sure it's good, but, like, it's dumb. Because it's a performance... Like, it's a performance...
Have we lost
four-door...
What happened to touring cars?
Nick, what's the point of having a 4-door car...
that does what a GT3 can do?
A road-legal car. A road-legal 4-door car with no back seats. just have a two-door car.
Or if you don't want to be a GT3 driver like every other track day guy, why don't you go get the Alpha?
We will leave this discussion.
It's got center exhaust. It's a sedan with center exhaust.
If you're not watching on YouTube, you have to have seen Nick's face. He looks so helpless.
What other sedan has canards?
Dude, oh my gosh, dude. It was like I just said that Italians are the worst. Oh my gosh. We'll leave that to the top 10 worst performance cars of all time.
Well, we won't, because it won't be in it.
It will be. Nick, do you have anything else to say to the beautiful people before we sign off?
Well, yeah, all I would have to say is if you create a top 10 list that is anything positive and having to do with cars, and there's not one Porsche in it, you're wrong. Thank you.
Fair enough. Last thing I'm going to say is, if you're in the car community, I'm sure you saw it earlier this week, we had the passing of the legendary Ken Block. Obviously, huge sadness for the entire car community. One of the, if not the most influential person in the car community in the past, 10, 15, 20 years. He did countless things that have influenced us beyond what we'll ever understand, between DC Shoes and the Hoonigan brand and Hoonigan Racing Division.
And Ford.
And all that stuff. Yeah, between Ford and basically any Fiesta, Focus ST, Focus RS, those exist because of him. He started the Subaru culture in the United States, I'm certain of, because he became famous from Subarus, and before him, there were no Subarus driving around that were slammed with big exhausts on them. So thank you, Ken Block, and our condolences and wishes go out to the Block family and the Hoonigan family. And I think that's all we have to say for this episode. As always, go give us a follow on Instagram. Please follow us, subscribe, whatever you can do on whatever platform you're listening to this on or watching this on, whether that's YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Pandora, Google, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is. Please give us a follow. Please interact. Please leave a comment, leave a rating, leave a review. As always, thank you for listening. This has been episode 27 of The Clutch Dump. We'll see you next time.